Hello. It is a pleasure as always to be here. Welcome back to the second paradigm. This is B. And the message that wants to come through today is about the lingering collective uncertainty, and even more specifically, the grooves that are most available to interact with it. So if you've been around the second paradigm for really any duration of time, you know that one of the things that David and Miriam and this entire body of work are really focused on is reclaiming your free will from what we call the collective field. Reclaiming your ability to be able to make decisions as yourself. And a piece of that is being able to see reality as clearly as you possibly can, and to be able to make decisions from a place of peace. So as the news cycle churns, and as collective uncertainty amplifies, and terms like financial collapse or World War III are thrown around a little bit more often than they have been, we want to take a moment to help fortify you against that news cycle and to remind you that the most important thing, regardless of what's happening, is your peace. So it's tempting to look out into the world and try to gather information that you should be concerned with. It's tempting to go out searching for things that you need to prepare for. And even if you aren't consciously going out and searching for these things, it's easy to stumble upon things that then give you something to prepare for. It's important to be able to understand, as you're looking out into the massive abyss that is the internet, that much of the information that you're seeing and that's coming to you on a regular basis is tailored specifically to make you think a certain way or to feel a certain way. There is a thought outcome or an emotional outcome that is already intended at the beginning of an article or at the beginning of a video. And as you take the journey through that piece of information, no matter how compelling or real it may seem, you're not just taking in facts about the world. You're taking in a consensus perspective that in a way is handed to you. So in this very moment, there are certain narratives starting to rear their head that are encouraging you to dislike China or to dislike Russia, that in some ways are laying groundwork for future conflict. Now, it can be tempting to take this information in at face value. We'll look at the atrocities that are going on here or that are going on there, but there are countless atrocities that you are simply unaware of that are happening every single day. So why is it that you are being delivered very specific atrocities? You're being delivered very specific atrocities to make you think or feel a certain way. And if you can be made to think or feel that certain way, and others can be made to think or feel that certain way, then public opinion, the majority vote for what should happen, can be all but completely controlled. It's important as you're looking out into the world to keep this in mind, that much of the information that you are seeing is delivered to you. It's not something that you sought out because you woke up in the morning, checked in with divinity, and divinity says, hey, go look at this particular thing. There's an issue in this particular country that you should be aware of for your own personal circumstances. How often is that the case? More often than not, you are handed a problem or handed a perspective, handed an emotional state. So as you are scanning the world, or as you are just navigating the world in your day-to-day life, it's important to keep this in mind. What perspectives, what emotional states are you being delivered, and what's actually here for you? When you do settle back into your peace, that place where there isn't anything wrong, where the only urgency is what divinity is prepping you for in this very moment, or what divinity is asking you to do in this very moment. There is an almost unusual slowness in intuition. There's an almost unusual slowness in this way of being that is centered within peace. I can almost feel, at times, like you should be more engaged with the world, or you aren't quite as engaged as you could be, that would then allow you to prepare more, to be a little bit more palatable to the individuals around you, a little bit more relatable, that would allow you to speak into collective issues with wisdom and present yourself as a public figure. It's incredibly tempting to get lost in the cycle of what is being delivered to you. But again, the most important thing will always be what is here for you, specifically from divinity. Because as compelling as that external narrative that is being built for you can be, the truth is there's only one thing, sometimes two, but almost always one thing that's actually here for you from divinity. Sometimes it's as simple as rest, slow down, or disengage. Sometimes disengaging takes enough bandwidth that there's nothing else you can do. Sometimes fortifying yourself to what's happening in the collective as everyone is getting swept up in something that's being delivered to them. Sometimes that is difficult enough that simply doing nothing is quite a challenge. And in those moments, when divinity is asking you to do nothing or to settle back, and there isn't something substantial, it can feel as though you need to be doing more to prepare, to be fortified, to be more relatable, to present yourself in a certain way to the world. But is there? If you have validated your intuition to any degree, you know you have lived experience, you have proof, tangible, experiential proof that this inner whisper within you continues to guide you forward, ideally. There's nothing that's missed, nothing that's overlooked, and even things that felt as though they were top priority, that your intuition said, it's not that big of a deal, weren't actually that big of a deal. So again, though it's tempting to engage with the things that are being delivered to you by the world, by the news cycle, what's far more important are the things being delivered to you by divinity. There's this odd internal conflict that can happen at times, and it can almost feel as though you need to check in with divinity and hone your spiritual connection and hone your intuition for most of life, but also on the side, prepare for the things that are being collectively delivered to you. Also on the side, in addition to the things that divinity is guiding you to, you need to make sure that all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted. But truthfully, if there was anything for you to do about any sort of external atrocity, any sort of looming crisis, that information would not come to you externally through the information sources that are handing you a perspective. That truth, to prepare in some way, would come to you through your own intuition. You would be guided. So we want to lay out this reminder here to, one, be aware of the information that's coming to you, and remember that you are not being delivered news, you are being delivered a perspective. And sometimes that perspective isn't true or isn't conducive with what you're actually doing here. And two, we want to offer a reminder that it is okay to be within your peace 100% of the time. From within your peace, you have access to your intuition, the clearest, most potent intuition you have available to you. And your intuition is already considering all of the things that are actually going to impact your life. So as tempting as it may be to go down the rabbit hole to find the things you need to prepare for, as tempting as it may be to look out into the world and try to hedge your bets and reduce risk and diversify your portfolio, if you're not getting guided to do any of those things from divinity, it's because it's not important. As important or urgent as it may feel, it's not actually important. So with that, we hope that through this message, there's a greater degree of access to your peace and greater permission for you to stay there even as the world around you spins in worry, in panic about pieces of information cherry-picked to make them feel that thing. We hope that you have greater permission to be able to settle into that peace, because it's the only thing that will actually get you through any of those circumstances if things were to take a turn. When life does get hard, it's not the plans that get you through. It's not how well you hedged your bets 6 months ago. It's not your financial portfolio. It's your intuition. It's divinity. It's God. So to the greatest possible degree you can, we urge you to find your peace, to settle back into your peace, and to stay there. The more you're able to do this, despite what's happening externally, the smoother your life will be. This is always the case, no matter what's happening, including and really especially in these times of collective uncertainty. With that, so much love to you. It's a pleasure as always to speak to you in this way, and we'll speak to you at a later time. Bye for now.